The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, Monday Night Raw, Review.
Welcome everybody to Wrestling to the Max's Raw Review, and this is for the January 2nd, 2017 edition. And of course, if you want to know and find out all about the rest of the content that we have to offer, go check out W2Mnet.com. Along with, go subscribe to W2M Network, and that way you can have all the great content that we have to offer on not only our network, but of course with this podcast. But now, let's talk some Monday Night Raw, guys.
I do want to preface that you can also get this podcast by itself. Just to point out, of course we want you to subscribe to the network, but there are people that, they go, hey, we don't like football, we don't like all that, so just find Wrestling to the Max wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can just subscribe to the podcast itself and get all these shows, whether it's Raw or just the regular shows or whatever. Just, I just know people, and they go, oh, but I don't want all this stuff on my feed. You don't have to. It's just the network is really cool because you get other wrestling podcasts that aren't ours that have awesome stuff you want to listen to too. So, but anyway, let's get on with the first Raw of the new year. Oh, Happy New Year to you guys. It's now 2017, so everybody can either go to the gym or they can, just start making other resolutions. All I saw at the gym today was like everybody that wanted to make their resolutions. So I want to see how many people pack my gym for. It's hilarious though. I saw a bunch of wrestlers making fun of it. Like they're like, "Oh, I'm tired of these New Year resolution people. Like I can't wait till they get out of here in a week." I'm just like, why are you making fun of them? Like people want to lose weight, It does suck to have it be crowded, though, but,
Yeah. Well, it's, their gym's fault, too, because, trust me, I've been by a few gyms recently, and there are people outside, like, begging you to come and sign up. And so it's not all, it's your gym's fault, too. They solicit heavily. And sometimes I just want to, maybe subscribe for a month, go check out the gym, walk around, look around, take a shower, come out, sit on the bench, and eat some chicken in front of everybody. So that's just kind of my plan, I think, eventually in life. But, I haven't done it yet, but maybe one day.
Gary is totally defeating the purpose.
Really just there, I think, to help to support them and guide them through their transition, I think is all Gary's trying to do.
Yeah. Gary's going to be that guy, like, he's eating the chicken in one hand, be like, oh, yeah, you're doing great. Keep doing those push-ups,
Oh, you want an eclair?
Yeah, that too. Let me get you a soda really quick. Forget that protein shake. So anyway, somebody that doesn't need any kind of protein shake, Braun Strowman, he was definitely, again, a focal point of this episode. Another focal point of this episode was Kevin Owens, because he was a huge part of Raw this week, as he was at the beginning, he was at the end, he was in the middle or so with a match, he was in there with another backstage segment. It was Kevin Owens everything, along with Chris Jericho, of course, as kind of has been the norm for a little bit with Jericho and Owens, with them kind of starting the show. They come out here to talk with Mick Foley, who's the one that actually opened the show. They make fun of his haircut. And then basically we start playing Ring Around the Rosie with the main event of Raw, because we pretty much only have 4 people that work the main event of Raw now. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Chris Jericho, and Kevin Owens. Those 4 are going to be twirling around having matches with each other until the end of time, I'm guessing. So pretty much we get Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens gets made for this show, which happens right after this. And then you get Roman Reigns and Chris Jericho for the U.S. title, which I swear they've had that match about 3 times already. But, yeah, and then we find out we're going to get Kevin Owens' show. The Kevin Owens show will now make its debut on Raw, and the special guest will be Goldberg. But we find out that we have to wait till the end of the show for that one. So, what do you think of all this stuff with Owens and Jericho setting up these matches and how that all went?
The beginning of the show wasn't, too bad. I mean, I'll say this. Mick Foley, for a while now, we've kind of critiqued him and, everything he's done as general manager and, of course, how he's portrayed himself, especially on the mic, since he's not exactly been the most comfortable GM we've seen as of late, especially when you kind of compare him to Daniel Bryan, who's not exactly the most comfortable all the time either. But, we kind of get a little jokey here. I like that Mick Foley pokes fun at himself about, saying the wrong city's name and all that. And it's okay, but, this doesn't always scream, this is awesome with me, because of the fact that sometimes I feel like these segments with Mick Foley kind of go flat. This one was okay. We just get the same old thing over and over again that we've seen, though. This is the only problem with this, is because we've seen these 3 in the ring quite a bit recently. And don't get me wrong, I love Kevin Owens and, of course, Chris Jericho together and both bantering back and forth. The jokes are always kind of funny. They do different things, but I don't know. I kind of feel like that this was just kind of bland. I hate to say it that way, but it just kind of was. And, of course, adding Stephanie McMahon was kind of a different wrinkle you could throw in the mix, but nothing super out of this world great either. I'm not hating on it. I just want to say this is very vanilla for me because we've seen this before. Nothing super special.
I think this is where you get into the large difference between Raw and SmackDown, because SmackDown does the same thing, right? You have the same 4 guys around or near the top of the card, and they just recently did the switch too, of course, right? So the thing is, SmackDown evolves and moves stories forward, and really it feels like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens and Jericho have been stuck in the same time loop for about 4 months now. And that's just... I feel so bad for people who are watching Raw because this just sounds boring as all get out.
Yeah. And Sean, I mean, I don't know how you felt, but I mean, it kind of did get a little boring to an extent, only because, like I said, it's like they repeat this, and Paul made that good point. I mean, really, SmackDown, at least you see some progression. Right now, it's just like, hey, we're in a holding pattern until Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, the main event part of Raw is not what interests me, right? Like, until they get done with this musical chairs of just replacing around the 4 guys, it is kind of like just, okay, rinse and repeat. We're doing this. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens was fine. There was nothing, tremendous about it. At least Kevin Owens didn't get pinned, so that's a plus. I did enjoy Jericho and Roman, but they just have really good chemistry with each other. Mm-hmm. They're really good in the ring together. The Jericho having the Eddie Guerrero spot and almost winning was tremendous. I really wanted Jericho to win after that. He did it so well. Mm-hmm. I just was I was like, damn it, that was so good. I wanted him to win, and of course he didn't. Because Roman Reigns is not gonna lose the U.S. title like that. But I thought for the most part. At least the Roman and Jericho thing was good, but just we got to do something to sort of freshen this thing up. I don't know what, but yeah. And then you get the Kevin Owens show thing, which of course they took their time to get to Goldberg coming out with, Jericho putting the whole, city of Tampa Bay on the list even, which was funny. We get Kevin Owens being upset that Chris Jericho is putting himself in the Royal Rumble. And Then he's going on and on about how he doesn't want to wrestle his best friend and all this stuff, and then Goldberg comes out. The crowd still can't seem to learn how to chant Goldberg in unison. I don't know why this is such a problem, but they're not the only crowd that's done it. Goldberg was sort of bad here on the microphone. I would have really just preferred he shut up. Then Paul Heyman comes out to save the segment. Then you get the parade of guys, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. All I got out of this was Vince must have been creaming himself at the end of Raw with this segment. Like, all the big guys are in the ring together. Like, all that was left was Brock Lesnar to come out, and just every big guy, other than Rusev, is standing there. But, I don't know, I guess this was the point where we tease a little bit of Roman and Goldberg, so we see what kind of reaction that gets, and then, then we get Braun. Oh, but Braun gets double speared. Just came off like really. If Goldberg's such a badass or whatever, why isn't he just spearing everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's the thing, and I kind of want to rewind just for a minute before I touch on the Goldberg thing, but the issue we were having when we were talking about the first segment of the show has, like Sean said, has kind of went on to these matches, and I was very surprised with how Jericho and Roman Reigns went. I really was prepared to kind of hate it because I kind of honestly hated Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. It's not like the guys don't know how to work. It's not like these guys aren't working hard. It's the fact that I kind of feel in my stomach that I'm seeing something that really honestly needs to be saved. That they really, this should be a bigger match than the first match on a Monday Night Raw. We need to save that match for a bigger stage. Have these guys screw each other over, do other things, but let's just not have a clean match. And then, of course, disqualification, at the end. It's just the same old antics. Chris Jericho thing was at least interesting because he was doing antics, but they were smart. They were intelligent, like him throwing Roman Reigns the title and then falling down, letting the ref think that he got hit with it. Things like that.
Yeah, because Jericho knows that if Roman got DQ'd, he'd win the title. So,
exactly, and things like that are great. Why, Sean? We've seen him 100 times. That's not the first time in history in wrestling that we've seen that. We've seen it 100,000 times. But the thing is that we don't see it a lot in WWE anymore. They don't play with the old school stuff as they like.
Other than Sasha doing it in like every other match, but like
but that's I guess you get a point there, but still,
I'm just saying, like, you have a point in that you don't see it all the time, so it's still very neat, and it plays up to the stipulation. Like, it's just nice to see someone actually use the stipulation to their advantage instead of it just kind of being there.
And it adds to the character of Chris Jericho. And Paul, I don't know how you feel about this, but this is what I think that Chris Jericho is doing right, is he's playing the part of that old wily veteran. He's been a world champion. He's been a undisputed champion, and they're not afraid to shy away from that. And him doing these type of things just shows he's a veteran. Whereas guys like Roman Reigns, they're veterans now, but they're definitely not they don't have as many miles on their tires as Jericho does. So I love this. To me, it plays to who Chris Jericho is and his whole entire character.
These other guys, they got nowhere near the mileage that Jericho does, right? He's been around the business 20 plus years now. Christ, probably pushing 30. We talk about this all the time. He's had his very sour points during his various returns to the WWE in between Fozzy tours, but this one I think might be one of his better ones outside of his heel run back in the mid 2000s, where him and Shawn Michaels were feuding over the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw. But he gets it. He's here to put over the other guys. I think he knows that, and in that way, he's really made Kevin Owens very interesting. He's worked well with both Seth and Roman, which is great too. So I think he's just a great hand to have around these guys. That being said, this ending segment, I think, does a good job of building up the Rumble and the fact that there's not really a clear-cut person who looks like they're going to win the Rumble. You have a lot of big guys over on Raw and the part-timers and Goldberg and Lesnar who could walk away with it. And SmackDown is sort of maybe not as forefront on people's minds as who's going to win it. but there's nobody who looks really clear to walk away with that victory like they have so many other times in the past, So I think that's really cool, and I think this does a great job of really at least showing off the contenders of who might win, which is the big guys, and that's something I think Raw did well on this episode, at least.
I didn't really have such a huge problem with it. I mean, I think it's fine, and it kind of does what you're saying. My issue with it was it was just like, okay, we're once again doing the parade. And sometimes the parade is just kind of like, oh, God, how many people are we going to have come out here? Is this really the way we're going to do this? Is we're going to end with a stare down or whatever? And I guess the double spear was cool, I guess. But that was pretty much it. That was the big climax. It's like going to a fireworks show and you're expecting like a super awesome display, and then they shoot 3 fireworks off instead of 25 at the same time, and that's like, finale, yay, clap, and you're like, but that's it? That's okay. So I get the job that they did here of, hey, we're giving you all the contenders. These are all the people you need to focus on at this Rumble. But when it's the short term goal here failed. Maybe long term was successful, but this short term of great show ending, I don't know if I felt that. I just kind of felt like there should be more. Maybe I'm reaching too much, but
exactly what I felt like. It just felt really empty.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever. But that's the whole thing. It's like this whole main event scene is just so, there's so many things I'd rather do than watch the same. Look, Jericho and Owens are funny. I like the fact that they're building the dissension with them. I have no problem with it. Just, I wish they wouldn't just... It's the same four guys going around in a circle. Mm-hmm. And after a while, it doesn't matter. And none of it, other than Jericho and Owens, none of it is built well. So there's another reason why you don't care, because Kevin Owens looks like a doofus every time he goes out there. Like, Jericho is the only guy, and then Roman looks strong, but then it's like that same thing, like, okay, why in the hell do I want to cheer for Roman Reigns? There's nothing that he does that makes me cheer for him, other than if I think he's cool and he does the Superman punch or whatever. Like, I'm not, if the kids want to cheer him and the women want to cheer him because he's hot, they think he's hot or whatever, I'm not saying that's wrong. You do what you want to do, but the reason why you're not hitting with the men is because I don't have a reason to cheer you. You're a dick most of the time. Like, I don't want to cheer a dick. Like, Kevin Owens is funny, whatever, but he looks so weak. People just don't care about him. Seth Rollins is kind of there. If not, he's whining about Triple H. I mean, what is there to like about Seth Rollins? Nothing.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
They botched that up a long time ago by not capitalizing immediately on the Universal title situation that him and Owens were in.
So it's like, other than getting the cool pop of Jericho saying something funny, it's just there. So, like, the rest of this show, or really some of it, because some of the Cruiserweight stuff, I just don't care. They really do not make me care about some of this Cruiserweight stuff, the way they treat him on Raw, but I thought some of the other things they did here was good, like the last man standing match between Braun and Sami Zayn was exactly what it needed to be. Braun just whooping Sami Zayn until you got to certain parts where Sami Zayn, got to, the big crossbody on the tables on the outside, and Sami Zayn kept getting up, and he had to keep power slamming him onto the floor until Zayn wouldn't get up anymore. To me, it was the best match on the show. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, Braun could probably sell better, but I think that just kind of comes with time. Braun's not used to selling, right? That's something he's going to have to learn as he goes on the main roster of, okay, how to make this look like it actually hurt me, whereas Sami Zayn has made a career out of doing that. So, of course, he's going to be better. It's no-brainer. But I really enjoyed this match for what it was, and I thought it did a lot for both guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what, Sean? It's kind of funny you say that, because this is another match that we've seen more than once, right? And we're complaining about the main event guys and them being repetitive. But yet, this gets better. This is repetitive, and it's better. And they did it the right way. And you know why it is? Because there's layers to this. There's not just a storyline that's just kind of like, well, I still hate you, well, I still hate you. No, it's about the fact that they've had Sami Zayn be the major underdog, getting the just living stuffing beat out of him. Then you go from Sami Zayn finding a way to ink out a win to now Sami Zayn has found his path. He's found a way to survive against this guy. Now, has he won? No, he still lost this match, but guess what? He was able to use different tricks in the book, different skills to find a way to stay in this against Braun Strowman. I appreciate it. And you may disagree with me on this, but I kind of had a flashback to those good old days of the Attitude Era where, it was crazy. They were using weapons. They go backstage. Backstage actually is kind of fun. It's exciting. It's not the same old, oh, look, he fell over a table, then he gets up and he goes back out the curtain. No, they use all sorts of stuff in backstage, and then they bring it back to the ring. It to me, very solid. And we've seen this before, but we haven't seen this before. If you get what I'm coming from here, so I really agree. I can't tell you how impressed I was with both these guys and their effort. And you're right, Braun Strowman could sell better. It's going to take time, though. That's just the way people have to understand. Go look at Big Show.
Braun is over, though.
No, he is. But go look.
People are interested in what. That's what I'm saying, though. It doesn't really matter because Braun, what they're doing with him is he's so well booked. That the people are actually interested in what he does, right? So that matters, and I'm actually interested in when Braun shows up. I'm like, all right, I'm paying attention. I couldn't. It's like Baron Corbin with me. I know he's not on everybody's thing, but I think both of them have been much better booked than they were at first. So you care about them a lot more. Maybe they're not the greatest in ring or whatever. And they're not gonna be, but their characters are so well done that you can continue to get in with the storyline they're doing. And of course, it helps you have a great guy like Sami Zayn to work off of. But just saying, if they keep doing this with Braun, I think they're gonna get what they want out of him.
Yeah, and Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
I think Sammy is sort of the big factor in why this is so successful. He's such a great babyface, especially whenever he gets to play the underdog role, as we've seen on NXT and countless other times before if you followed his indie work as El Generico too. But here with Braun, I think not only do they really work well together, but I think Sammy just has such a grasp on the character and how to do this role that it's almost effortless for him to get Braun. And it helps that Braun has come miles and miles from where he started too, as far as he's not the greatest, obviously, but he's still very I don't want to say passable. I mean, that is a good thing, but he's improved a lot, and I think working with Sammy is a big part of that too. And you're right, this is the one thing I think Raw has done very well is the booking of Braun in this sort of whole feud in general. And as Gary said, it's the same thing every time, but the formula changes every time, right? So each time they go out there to have a match, the direction changes vastly, and that's what keeps you interested.
Yeah, and it was cool because the commentary kept yelling and screaming like, where in the hell's Mick Foley? He's not, because you're expecting, okay, well, Mick Foley's come out for all these other ones. Oh, but he didn't come out this time. And you're asking, well, why didn't you? Like, if there was a moment for you to come out here and throw in the towel or say something, you didn't. So now you got questions about, well, why didn't Foley come out this time? And what is this going to mean for Sami Zayn? He lost, Is he going to keep going, or is Braun going to get anything out of this? Because now Braun has made his point that he's in the Royal Rumble as well. So, do they continue with this with Braun for another month with Sami Zayn after the Rumble, or do they cut it off at the Rumble? It's going to be interesting to see how they go from here.
It is. And, I was going to ask Paul, but I actually asked both of you guys. We've seen another big guy in history. I'll say it, the Giant, or Big Show, as we know him in WWE. this guy came off and, he did pretty well for himself. And when you've watched some of his first matches and some of the things he was doing, it wasn't the smoothest. And he wasn't as, well-rounded. It took him a little while, but it didn't take him too long because guess what? They put those people around him. And Paul, you hit the nail on the head. Sami Zayn is a big part of this. And Braun Strowman working against guys in the Rumble will be a big part of his evolution. And this is exciting. I really, really am excited for him. Baron Corbin, I think, has developed, and I'm really curious if they can do the same type of formula or work something with him. Right now, Braun Strowman has the heads up. Maybe a little bit on
Baron is he can talk, and his character works really well for. I keep saying it, but he has the attitude that they wish Roman would bring off, but to have Roman get cheered and have that attitude doesn't work because Baron just has this I don't give a crap attitude. I don't care who I'm wrestling. I don't care if it's this indie darling or if it's Dolph Ziggler or whatever. Like, it just works for him, right? That's just who he is. So with Roman, they're trying to make him be like 50 things at once, and it doesn't work. So, Braun can't. He doesn't have the promo ability like Baron does, but he's just booked so well, that it works.
Yeah,
I think for the character they've constructed around Braun too, it's not necessarily so important that he's great on the microphone. He just needs those short little one-liners or little brief moments to get his point across. Braun has the charisma as far as just being an imposing figure. He's very menacing. Like, the dude is huge. Yeah. And I think he just gets his role. He's a big, angry dude who beats people up. I mean, that's not hard, and it's super easy to get behind.
Yeah, and Mark Henry's been successful with that role, too. So.
I mean, he wasn't on Game of Thrones for nothing,
Right. Do you think these two end up at Mania together?
What, him and Roman?
No, Braun and Sami.
No. Well, I don't know. Now that they have Undertaker showing up on Raw, maybe they are going to do Roman and Taker. They could. I mean, I just don't see WWE like really doing something like all these storylines that long term, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean they're going on the right path if they want to do that. But my worry is, can they stretch it that far? I have a big concern about that.
Yeah, when you're already doing a last man standing match on Raw, how long can you really keep this going?
For me, this just felt like another chapter of Sami trying to prove himself in a longer scope than Braun, and he didn't. He came up short. So there's still more to go off with here, and I think it'll be really interesting post Royal Rumble, if Roman does in fact win that Universal Championship, what happens to the U.S. title? Does he vacate it? What happens? And maybe you could use that as a vehicle for Braun, and then that leads to a Sami Zayn rematch somewhere down the line at Mania for the belt.
Yeah, and I would like that. If they kind of, maybe had a stutter step with the feud and let Braun and Sami go do different things. I just don't want them to go straight from here to Mania with the feud continuing on and on. I just worry about, maybe they have dance-offs and things like that in the ring. I don't want to see that.
I mean, Sami got having to dance.
Funkasaurus 2.0, guys. It's happening.
Exactly.
I mean, Sami does get stretchered out at the end, so he could take a leave of absence to at least let this breathe a little going into the Rumble.
Yeah, you got a good point.
But this did kind of feel like that part at the end, because they're not going to do Roman and Goldberg. The only reason you're having Braun in that ring at the end is because you want something between him and Roman going on, and they already had something between him and Roman go on. So, I don't know what seeds they're going to try to be planting here, but we shall see going forward. So they had the storyline with Bayley here getting her win stripped from last week. So in order for this to continue, Bailey had a little backstage segment with Stephanie McMahon where she asked Stephanie, like, hey, I know you had to cut my win, but why does Dana have to be the special referee in our match at Royal Rumble? And Stephanie's like, well, hold a minute. You still don't have that number one contender spot because your win was stripped. And hey, Charlotte has high-powered attorneys, so we had to come to a compromise or whatever. But tonight you're going to wrestle Nia Jax. After I get done telling you that I didn't want you here, that Mick Foley fought for you, whatever, but I think you're stupid. I think you're not, you're not star material. Basically, cutting Bailey's ovaries off for for lack of a better term here. But then Bailey got to sort of defend herself, which was good. She got to say, well, look, I'm just Bailey. I don't care about whether you think I'm a star or whether you think I'm this or that. I'm just good being Bailey, And, this is, I guess this is as close as you're going to get to somebody having to come back to Stephanie when she's in cut the balls off mode, but that's a good start, I guess. I don't know. And the match was fine. Her and Nia have had matches before. This was all sort of an angle again to get Sasha out there, to cost Nia the match, to kind of add fuel to both feuds, which I'm fine with. It's, the typical WWE trope. Yeah.
Yeah. What's interesting about this whole thing is the fact that we have a Bailey who people do like. I think a lot of people are behind her. But at the same time, this new audience hasn't really, just jumped in full force and just really got behind Bailey as a character completely, I don't think. So
got the pans. Hold on.
I don't know. That's kind of I just heard a scraping sound. I wasn't sure what that was.
I keep hearing like somebody hitting pans or something.
I know, but it's gone away now. Pretty good.
Okay.
But anyway, Bailey is not super over with the fans, whereas in NXT, she was everybody's favorite, right? So I think this is maybe a good way to kind of maybe get her to that mode, because now you got more sympathy with Stephanie really just chopping her down, saying, I never wanted you, you're a waste of our time. The only reason you're here is because Mick Foley had pity on you, and he just thought you were something, and we don't believe it. And so now you got people watching that, and now they're going to kind of say, hey, I don't know really much about Bailey, but now I'm you know what? I'm going to back her up. Now I want to see what she can do, and I sure hope she beats Nia Jax. I sure hope she beats, everybody in her path. And, that's the kind of way we saw in NXT. They kind of built her up little by little, and, of course, people like the quirkiness. I think some of the serious Bailey, which we kind of had here, and I think with some of the quirkiness you saw last week, with Dusty, the Dusty Rhodes thing with the teddy bear and all that, I think it helps her case, and I think they're not doing a bad job. And with this match too, not a bad job, of course, with Sasha Banks and all that. That the match, in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter too much because, it was one of those you're one of Sean's favorite things. Hey, entrance, there you go, lost to the person. But at the end of the day, I think this doesn't do Bailey too bad. I think she at least got to give her a little credit here.
I got nothing against Bailey. I love Bailey. I think she's great. This reads completely like a Daniel Bryan promo from 4 years ago, 3 years ago, however long ago it was, right? It reads exactly like that. Stephanie thinks Bailey isn't in that same league as her top girl like Charlotte, who has this pedigree and everything else behind her that makes her the greatest, right? And Bailey's got to come up and try to meet that or prove that she's better than that. And maybe they're just hoping to try to capture lightning in a bottle once again here with Bailey in doing this. But she doesn't have nearly the same steam behind her that Daniel Bryan had. They haven't really had that same build-up. I think that not only Daniel Bryan had, but that Bailey even had in NXT, where you got to know her and be familiar with her character and sort of watch her evolve across this period of time before she got to that title scene. And I understand you can't do exactly the same thing in NXT, and that's not even what I'm trying to do, but I would like some variety here, something that makes this feel different, other than it just being that they're girls, right? Because, that's not supposed to be the point anymore.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it so much. You got to start somewhere. They kind of already had Bayley set in a certain spot. They had her beat Charlotte twice. You got to do something, so I give them credit for trying to do something. I totally agree with you. It's a total Daniel Bryan promo from back in the day. Just, let's see where this goes for her. I'm just hoping that in this chase that we're assuming she's going to have until WrestleMania, the crowd does get behind her and more people are into what Bayley's trying to sell here, because if not, then this whole ordeal is not going to work very well for her, which is a shame.
Yeah, I agree.
The cruiserweights had their two little short segments here. God, look, I like TJ Perkins, I like Brian Kendrick, but are these guys the only guys that wrestle in this division? I feel like we've seen this match about 20 times. And it progressively gets shorter and shorter and shorter every time. Now this one didn't even go 30 minutes. TJ Perkins wins, so he looks good in his match he's going to have next week with Neville. Or not next week, on 205 Live with Neville. I mean, okay, it's simple stuff, but it's just like, I don't feel like we're furthering anything here. Cedric Alexander is having still this thing with Noam Dar for Alicia Fox. Noam Dar calls Alicia Fox sweet cheeks, so that wasn't the most pleasant thing for Dar to say to Alicia Fox. And then you get sort of a basic match here with Drew Gulak, as Alicia Fox gets involved to get Tony Nese off the apron, but Drew Gulak pulls the tights and everything and pins Alexander. So Noam Dar calls something. Somebody calls something for Cedric Alexander to lose. Okay, I guess that's furthering a story, so that's fine, but I still feel like we're just doing the bare minimum on Raw where they could do more.
This did no favors to the Cruiserweight division at all. This makes you want to watch 205 Live at no point, actually. Because, just think about this. If you're a new viewer or you kind of halfway pay attention to Raw, and you're thinking, I really need to watch that 205 Live show. They keep talking about it, and then you see this on Raw, it's just like, why? Why do I want to? Do they really have new matchups? Because we see these guys on Raw all the time. Are they just going to repeat that on this show? I'm not wasting my, time. I get it. Sometimes not everything on the cruiserweights can be a lengthy thing. I get that. Sometimes they got to be short, and I'm totally fine with it. But both these matches on this card were short, really, and just unimpactful. Just not great stuff. Yeah, sure, TJ Perkins or Brian Kendrick was way too repetitious and just too boring. But it didn't really help Cedric Alexander and the Gulak, whatever. I don't know. I just walked away from this episode of Raw and looking at the cruiserweights and just saying, that was just nothing. They gave us nothing.
Here's where I think they're starting to have trouble with 205 Live, is that I think they're trying to use the stuff on Raw to sort of tease and get you interested. And if that's what they're trying to do, then I guess that's fine, right? Because you're trying to promote that show over your network and get more subscriptions that way, which is directly going to affect your money a lot more than whatever the Cruiserweight's going to do for you on Raw, right? So I imagine these are just brief little teasers, right? But you do have some progression here, at least as far as Cedric and Drew goes. Nese and Gulak continue to work together. Alicia continues to sort of be a foil for Cedric Alexander in his matches, and that's all well and good. But that's all very small-time stuff. There's no heat there. I still don't know why TJP and Brian Kendrick are feuding post-championship stuff, but they must continue the feud for reasons, I guess. But, I mean, all the heat is on Swan and Neville. Like, that's where the heat is. That's where your money is right now. I don't know why you wouldn't want to at least tease some more of that, even in a tag team match here on Raw. Like, I think that would have been great. And, of course, Gallagher's been wonderful, too.
Yes, him doing fencing umbrellas with the New Day was hilarious.
That was good. I can't lie.
That was the only
fun.
part of the New Day that was actually funny, because their little segment on Raw with the little promo was with Titus was just, why? Like, we're just trying to shoehorn Titus in wherever we can at this point. And yeah, I'm sorry. And Titus is bad. Titus is just, he's bad in the ring. I don't see the part, other than just can we just don't have him on TV? Just at this point, just have him do charity. And if he wants to leave WWE after his contract's up, then you know what? What loss is that to you? Really? Like, I just don't see where he really. And oh wait, we're adding Titus to the New Day because he's black? Like, is that what we're trying to infer here? It's whatever. I would have done. I could have gone without that, honestly. Just being perfect.
Yeah. It had its points of like, okay, this is kind of funny, but not really. You know, and that was my issue with it. And not only that, but I mean, the way this all worked out, I just think it was just. I don't know how much of a future it has. That's my thing, and maybe I'm looking too far ahead with this. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this like a 2-week thing? Because really, Titus O'Neil does not get a lot, and is this just going to be an Xavier Woods versus Titus O'Neil thing? Is the New Day really going to be that much involved in just one guy? I don't know. This is kind of a drop off, if you ask me personally, with a New Day to fall off from, just defending their tag team championships to, hey, now you get to face off against the guy that really doesn't do anything. Hey, congratulations. I don't know. It was okay. This was not terrible to me. Especially, it was kind of a neat little match between Xavier Woods and Titus O'Neil, but I just, at the end of the day, I don't know how interested I am in it.
We've seen Titus at least display flashes of something that could make him into something more than what he has been for the WWE, right? Whether it's been one half that's primetime players or just sort of a bit person here and there. I think he works better as a face. He's just never found anything as a heel that really entices you to make you want to hate him. And granted, I don't think the WWE has ever really gotten a big thing behind him to try. But certainly, I think there's just more to him as a face. He's a friendly guy. Why wouldn't you just play off of that?
Yeah, I would agree. The problem is, when nobody cares about you, it's kind of hard to start you there and get something going to get people to care about you. Mm-hmm. And then the other gimmicks that they come up with them is they're always stupid. Like, remember when he was throwing up everywhere? It's just, well, what are you gonna do with that? Like, what are you gonna do with what he's doing now? It's nothing. At least the other tag team thing served its purpose on this show, and it was great for Carl Anderson, who finally got to show off some stuff by himself. In a match with Cesaro, who you're putting him in there with a great guy like Cesaro. And he got to, I hope this is his new finisher, where basically he's going to take the RKO and he's going to turn it upside down and just do a reverse neck breaker now. I'm fine with that. It's as close as you're going to get at this point. And I thought the match was good for what it was. Both guys got some time to show off things. Gallows kept getting involved to screw over Cesaro. Then Sheamus would get involved, and they keep teasing that stuff with Cesaro and Sheamus. And it's still weird to me that Carl Anderson's wearing pants, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, Carl Anderson wins, which who would have thought of that, right? Carl Anderson winning.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny too because I really didn't see that coming. I thought they were going to for sure have Carl Anderson losing. But to me, this is I guess a smidge of positivity here. And why I say a smidge is because it seems like every time they give Carl Anderson or Galloway, or Gallows, I want Galloway, Gallows a chance to look good, they take it right away. And that's what concerns me here. I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's nice. It's a nice little notch on their belt. How fast are they going to erase that? How fast are they going to get this? And then, of course, Sheamus is going to be Gallows down or something like that. And then here we go back again. It's kind of like, that whole 50-50 booking. I just want Gallows and Anderson to look good. They did it here. And I'm very happy with that. I kind of like the way this all turned out. I don't really, love the match. It was fine. It wasn't terrible at all. It was fine. But at the end of the day, I think I'm thinking too far ahead. What we got here, good. What we get next week, I may be talking differently.
Yeah, I mean, we continually talk how they really need to treat Gallows and Anderson better than what they have been. Because so far, they've just felt like guys ever since they showed up. They've never been a threat seemingly at any point, and there were times where they had the chance to pull the trigger and really turn them into something worthwhile for that tag team division, and they've never done it. So giving Carl the win here hopefully is a step back towards that direction, and I for one look forward to matches between Gallows and Anderson and Sheamus and Cesaro. They could have some really great sort of almost near strong style tag team matches that we've seen over in New Japan that, Gallows and Anderson, they work great in that atmosphere, and you have two guys here who have worked that style of match against each other before. So why not just let them have at it at the Rumble and let them try to steal a show?
Yep, very true, but probably not gonna happen here. Let
me dream, Sean. Let me dream.
Yeah.
What's funny is they had a little backstage video with those two guys, Carl and Luke Gallows, and they're talking to him, and they basically said they just joined WWE for the money. Now, this is all, of course, it's not shoot, but it's just kind of funny because it's like, okay, so they're going to play that character off as, oh, Vince is doing this on purpose. He's like having them purposely say that they're doing this for the money, so he don't have to put them over. Is what it seems like to me.
Yeah. I think they're just playing up the whole heel thing because you don't normally care for guys that just go, I'm just here for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, which is fine because Carl Anderson said this on Twitter as well. Just like, people complaining about him losing and stuff. Like, hey, I'm here making money for my family. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I do, right? Cass lost to Rusev and Jinder Mahal in a 2-on-1 handicap match. Well, okay, he lost because Enzo's hurt or whatever it is. This was fine. I mean, it keeps that feud going. Not that I care too much about it, but
yeah, something else that you look at and you're saying, man, end it, please. Because at first it was interesting. Now you're losing me. Adding Jinder Mahal does not boost anything when it comes to my confidence or my entertainment.
You are hindering my ability to watch your program by adding Jinder Mahal. That's what you're doing.
I like the double entendre there. You're hindering.
Yes.
Gingering.
That's the point.
I love it. I just love that, Sean. Good throw in there. I like that.
Yeah, I don't. I'm right there with you, Sean. I have very little invested in this so far. So, there we go.
Yeah. I know that's sort of a whatever way to end this Raw, but I thought overall this Raw was a good one. You had 3 good matches on it, which is sometimes way better than what you get in a lot of situations. So I'm just going to just go ahead and I'll just say a 6.
Yeah, I really want to give it a 5, but it's going to be hard to because of the fact that it did have some things like some good matches. They did have some progress in some of these, characters and stories. So it's just going to be hard for me to give it a 5 because I don't think it would deserve so low. But man, I had a few things here that really bothered me. I know Sean and I didn't touch on this when we were talking about it earlier, but the Goldberg thing. You were right. I mean, Goldberg and it wasn't at his strongest point on the mic and the main event. Him getting on there.
I don't like the fact that his thing of being on the microphone is, I'm going to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it that in a real situation, you wouldn't just be sitting there watching that guy talk for 5 minutes, but it just comes off as just annoying, and I'd rather just you shut up. It doesn't really gain anything. The only time it does anything for me is when he does it to Paul Heyman. But like when he does it to like one of the wrestlers, it's like I like the fact that Kevin Owens got in his face and like started throwing stuff around and being like, okay, well you don't intimidate me, because thank God they did that, because I got scared for a second they were gonna try to make him look like an idiot and just be like act intimidated of Goldberg. But they didn't,
Yeah, and I really on my heart of hearts thought that they were gonna, when he said, to Chris Jericho, spear, to Kevin Owens, jackhammer, I really thought he was gonna play that out. I was just kind of patiently waiting for it. Glad they didn't do that. I'm really, really happy they didn't do that. But at the end of the day, Goldberg still does not come off this looking super strong. Even though, I guess we should all think he's super strong because he beat Brock Lesnar really quickly. But still, he does not come off this looking like, oh man, he's super intimidating. I just don't feel that way. I think and I've said this about Roman Reigns 1,000 times. The less you talk, the more I worry about you. That the more intimidating you are to me, the less you talk. And that's kind of what I've enjoyed about Braun Strowman. Recently, he's talked a little bit more. Before that, though, man, a few words, just come in and kill you, leave. And that's what gets you over with a crowd sometimes because their imaginations are running wild with things you're not saying. The more things you do say and you take away from their imaginations, the less they're going to care because they have nothing to play with. So, at the end of the day, though, that was just my little thing about, Goldberg. But yeah, I think a 6 is where I'm going to land on this show.
Sounds like there's some decent wrestling on this show. I mean, there's certainly some stuff on here you want to check out. There's a lot of other stuff on here, though. That sounds like just a giant waste of time, which is how I picture Raw every week. So,
I like it. So now he's gonna hopefully have a better answer for you tomorrow on SmackDown. So, but yeah, I mean. There you go. That is, of course, our Raw for this week. We hope everybody comes and checks out episode 228 of Wrestling to the Max. That'll be part 1. And later this week, we'll have part 2 for you on Friday morning on the download. And, of course, don't forget, I just mentioned it, the SmackDown Live. We'll be doing the review for that, as well as we'll also be doing 205 Live, and we'll be doing NXT. I think this is the first week we're going to try to do NXT separately because we want to give all these shows a fair shot and to really give people the chance just if they...
Well, technically it won't be till the week after because this is not really a
that's right.
NXT episode.
Yeah. Thank you. So this week we won't have the NXT separately, but the week after, you're right. Thank you, Sean. They're doing a live event that, some of the stuff we've seen already. So, but yeah, that's our Raw review. We appreciate everybody for coming and checking out. Don't forget W2M Network. Go subscribe now if you're not already. Go check out W2Mnet.com. That's the place where all our reading material is available for you. And of course, you can find the podcast there as well. So thanks a lot, everybody. And just always remember, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.